Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. So it's November 3rd, and this is part 2 of today's episode covering the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia. Unfortunately, ran into some technical difficulties on my last video, and the entire video was not able to be published. So I'm redoing the second half, and I hope everybody enjoys. So again, as I was discussing on the prior part 1 video, the Tigrayan Defense Forces with its Oromo Liberation allies, Oromo Liberation Army allies, continue to spread south along the A2 highway, while forces of the Tigrayan Army also press towards the vital road junction near the town of Mille. Again, most of the combat power presently within the TDF is focused within the Desse-Kombolcha front, pressing possibly towards the town of Addis Ababa, the capital, Addis Ababa, the city of Addis Ababa. Misspoke there. But again, what options left does the Abiy loyalists have? And I think you really have to break down the Ethiopian side in terms of the Abiy loyalists and the Amhara regional militias. I think as we are watching this conflict unfold, they are progressively widening their stances away from each other. I think different aspects of the conflict are going to start to raise its head, especially regarding the Abiy loyalist side and obviously the Amhara regional government. And as I had said before prior, that I think eventually we will see the Amhara regional government become the de facto main fighting force that is fighting against both the Oromo Liberation Army and the Tigrayan Defense Force. We're not there yet, but we can see it evolving and changing as we speak. We can confirm that more and more militia units are being raised in the central Amhara region, north of Lake Tana and Bahir Dar. Again, significant amounts of militia forces are being raised in Gondar and other areas along the Bahir Dar Gondar corridor, both north and south. We also continue to hear of the spreading panic that is going on inside of Addis Ababa. So again, a lot of information in terms of what has been coming from state media has been one of perpetual victory. Now, obviously, those folks who are able to go to other outlets and get their news and gain an understanding, such as this website, I'm sorry, such as this channel, are beginning to understand what I have been talking about, what military and foreign affairs have been talking about for the last few months is coming to fruition. They are not winning this war. They are, in fact, losing this war. And unfortunately, they, meaning the pro-Abiy supporters, were taking what they were being told for granted, and as if it was absolute truth that they were, in fact, winning this war. And unfortunately for those folks, it's starting to really dawn on them now that that is not the case. And when you see a rapid transition in the governmental narrative, the Prosperity Party narrative, that is now saying, prepare to defend your neighborhoods in Addis Ababa from the Tigrayan Defense Forces as they are heading this way. Well, if you have been listening to the state media inside of Addis Ababa, the Prosperity Party media, you would believe, obviously, that wasn't going to happen. And in fact, the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, the Abiy loyalists, were actually winning the war. And then suddenly you see this sudden transition where you are now required to turn over your weapons, you are required to turn over your personal property to a governmental body to defend the state, defend Addis Ababa. So that is a rapid transition from winning the war to now losing the war suddenly. So again, I think at this point, quite possibly even commenters on this channel, which have become much less quiet, ironically, I find that interesting, now that possible defeat is on the horizon, and they are now seeing the truth and what that entails. And it is not a pretty picture for them, unfortunately. But again, what is next? What is going to happen next? And again, I believe, MFAN believes that again, we will see the breakdown of the federal forces. We will see more of a Amhara-centric force structure start to field itself, and that will become the basically the new Ethiopian National Defense Forces. Will it be called that, or will it just be identified as Amhara Regional Forces, Amhara Defense Forces? Who's to say at this point? But they are mobilizing in significant numbers, and they have their own interests apart from Abiy Ahmed, who is more of a federalist type of entity. But obviously that is breaking down at a rapid pace right now. Another big issue is leadership within the Ethiopian National Defense Forces. The commander of the general staff within the federal forces, General Jula, he has been the chief of the general staff through this whole conflict, and I am not certain as of yet has there been a required shakeup of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces. It would appear that from what is happening on the ground, there is some really incompetent leadership. And what I would like to do is just harken back to the American Civil War in the 1860s, mid 1860s, and initially the Union forces under Abraham Lincoln were led by the Union General McClellan. And he was a very, while he was competent, he was not an aggressive general. And one would only think what the outcome of the war would have been had the Union president, Abraham Lincoln, not inserted and relieved McClellan of his command and put in General Grant. And then General Grant obviously was a key supporter of General Sherman. Again, very, very aggressive battlefield commander. But we have not really seen that sort of shakeup within the Ethiopian general staff to replace quite possibly some of these incompetent generals who are, in fact, losing this war and may have given really poor advice to the political leadership within the Prosperity Party. Obviously, Abiy Ahmed is a former military person, was held, I believe, a rank of colonel in the Ethiopian National Defense Forces. He was more on the IT and intelligence side, but again, he was still a military person. So he would have probably some sort of knowledge in terms of other commanders that could be present. And this is the problem with this sort of government, where there's inherent cronyism. So the ability to replace one general with possibly a more aggressive or more competent general in terms of what is happening right now in the conflict would probably be advisable, but unfortunately for them, because of the political situation, they're probably not able to do that. And we see this in other militaries as well, in which the political entity is relying upon the military entity to keep it in power, and that's kind of what we're having now. The reality is probably what Abiy Ahmed needs to do is to find either a more competent general, possibly a general who is very astute in defensive operations right now, and place that person in command. But obviously that is not happening, and it looks like everyone is going to go down with the ship. I've been asked about the possibility of are people getting ready to flee Addis Ababa? And the answer to that question is yes, absolutely. There is a lot of chatter. There's been some chatter for a while as when the eviction from the Tigray region occurred. There was some some smart money that understood what was happening and where things were going to head, and have already started moving assets and personnel to safer spots on the planet as they were supporters of the Prosperity Party. But again, yes, that is happening. That is occurring. Embassies, from the U.S. Embassy to many other embassies, are looking to evacuate, as the coming chaos could be quite arduous for the former state of Ethiopia. Again, very fluid situation. We're going to continue to keep our eye on the situation and give you and all our listeners the quickest, most precise information on what's occurring. Even the personnel who watched the channel that felt that the channel was biased towards one side. Well, it's not bias. I'm just not telling you what you want to hear, and unfortunately, that tends to become the perception of bias. So again, you can watch Ethiopian state media and then get shocked as the Tigrayan Defense Forces come knocking on your door, or you can get what is actually going to happen, and I can tell you what is going to happen here on this channel. So have a great day, everybody. We will talk soon.